Hello everybody, my name is Joni Maben and I'm a 7th grade math teacher at Jeff Davis Middle School. For this lesson plan, I created a culminating task that will be given at the conclusion of students studying about operations with integers. Students would hopefully already mastered how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide all rational numbers, but specifically integers for this project. The standard that this project covers are applying and extending previous understandings of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, as well as solving real-world and mathematical problems involving the 4 operations. Ultimately, students will be creating a presentation over the 4 operations with integers that must include the integer rules, 5 numerical sentences with answers, for example, 1 plus 2 equals 3, and at least 4 real-world word problems with answers. So when writing their integer rules, students will have access to their interactive notebooks as a reference. Each year, we started this last year where we put all of our notes into an interactive notebook because we don't have textbooks. So students are always encouraged to go back to their interactive notebook to look at their notes. When writing the numerical sentences and word problems, I would differentiate this a little bit by encouraging my higher level students to incorporate multi-step problems in their project. For the first time this year, I'm going to be teaching an accelerated class, so I kind of want to enrich a little bit for them while still helping my lower level students with some one-on-one intervention when they need it. When creating their word problems, I know that many students will probably hit a mental roadblock whenever I ask them to come up with their own problems. So for this reason, I want my students to blog their sample problems using KidBlog, and this is a resource that I discovered in this class. So on this blog, if they're unsure of where to start, KidBlog could be used to initiate this communication among peers and aid in this process of getting started. For some students, just reading other examples may spark ideas, and students will be expected to read through all of their peers' word problems and choose one to respond to. In this response, students will include the operation that they used to solve this person's problem, the answer to their problem in a complete sentence, and then they're going to give any kind of feedback to the owner of the original post. What are some things that they would change? Was this a good word problem? Were there any grammar errors? Were there any math issues that they had? Any kind of feedback that they'd like to give back to that person, just to encourage, again, that communication and collaboration among peers. The students' initial blog post, as well as the response to their peers, will be graded according to a rubric, and that rubric is attached to the end of my lesson plan. So then students will create their presentations on Google Slides. I chose to use Google Slides because students can share this presentation with me, and I can view their work at any time and leave specific written feedback directly on their presentations for students to see. And I know that many students struggle with organizing their thoughts, so I created a template that students may choose to use to ensure that all components of the presentation are present. And again, this template is nothing fancy. It just reminds students of what's expected of them. So for example, on the first slide, they need to do addition. They have to have the rules. They have to have the numerical sentences, and they have to have their word problems. And it goes through with subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then the last slide on this template just reminds them of their screencast. So after creating their presentation, students will create a screencast of their presentation to post on KidBlog for their classmates to see. The presentations and screencasts will be graded according to a rubric. And again, this second rubric is attached at the end of my lesson plan. Throughout the project, I would highly encourage peer collaboration. Desks in my room are set up so that students can easily communicate with their desk partners. I, as the teacher, will act as a facilitator, walking around to formatively assess students and asking guiding questions. I really want this project to be student-centered in all aspects. I want students to communicate with their peers, create their own real-world problems based on their interest, and design a presentation in Screencast that shows their deep understanding of operations with integers.